going on, everybody? 15 minutes a day. Today's topic is on communication. When I talk about communication, I'm not talking about just words that come out of your mouth. I'm talking about engaging in English language, words that come from, our society, and convey to somebody else about a particular thought or feeling. I think one of the things that is plaguing our communication in today's society with various social groups or various people within our own social group is that communication isn't easy. And with the impact of all the things that are, in our social society that we have to work at, it's very easy for us to be lazy when it comes to how we communicate with each other. And I think the reason why communication is so difficult is because communication has two parts. The first part being what's being said. And most people get that. If you understand the English language, you speak English, then you can understand what is being said. So if you understand the English language, you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Minus the movie reference. But the second part of that is where we run into difficulty in communication, and that's measuring the intent of why it's being said. And I think that, and I feel free if you are a linguist, neuro-linguistic programming specialist, or some kind of cognitive behavior specialist dealing with the Wernicke's area, or whatever you do that may be. I appreciate if you chime in, because I definitely like to know more about how we communicate. But in this social society, it's a very image conscious society. And one of the things that is very image conscious about the way we communicate is it's a breathing contest. And what I mean by that is, because there's so much information in the world, people should be entitled to have a difference of opinion. But the reason why we don't allow people to have a difference of opinion is because the social constructs for our social groups dictate pretty much how people are supposed to behave in that social group. So when we have a preconceived notion about the way things are supposed to be, we have a difficulty handling the way things are. And here's my reference to the communication piece. When we talk to each other, sometimes, and quite often, we are only talking long enough to wait until the person takes a breath so we can jump in with our intellect. And I know I'm guilty of it, and that's the reason why this is my intent of why I'm doing this whole radio show, YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, is because I know that I'm guilty of some very, very, very grotesque abuses of the English language, and as well as communication. I've spent a lot of time, studying and learning and growing. So I think that, I'm with intellect. So when someone says something to me that is in disagreement with what I think or believe, I am so predicated on trying to get my message across to the individual that I completely miss what they're saying. So now that we have this disconnect, you're talking, you're coming at each other, and then somewhere along the line, we miss each other. And I think that one of the things that as we mature in life is that we need to make sure that if we find ourselves getting a lot of anxiety, we feel ourselves getting frustrated, feel ourselves getting angry, sometimes we just need to take a step back and ask ourselves, individually, okay, what is this person, if I don't understand what this person is saying, if I'm not understanding, the connotation behind what they're saying, then let me find out why they're saying it. Are they trying to hurt me? Are they trying to take something from me? Are they trying to belittle me? If there is any negative connotation to what they're saying, then I really don't need to be in that conversation anyway, much less arguing. If you really feel that someone is trying to hurt you in a conversation, then there's no need to argue about it, because what they're trying to do is they're going to do that anyway. Here's where the advantage comes in at. If you know, and it may be somebody that's saying some things that you truly don't like, but if you know for a fact that they're not trying to hurt you when they're saying it, why not engage in that? And so stop worrying about what's being said and start wondering why people are saying it. And I know that that's going to be difficult, because now people have to start being accountable for the words that come out of their mouth. And if anybody looks at any dictionary, I don't care if you look at Webster's, the Oxford, or whatever the case may be, there are an exorbitant amount of words available to us today. And guess what? Most of those have more than one definition. So in order for us to be able to communicate effectively, again, we have to understand why people are saying what they're saying, and then we have to be able to use our filters that we've been given in life to be able to digest that information. One thing is guaranteed: all of us have a backstory. Every last one of us has a movie in our life. Some of us have some very compelling stories to tell. Some of us have some very not so compelling, action-packed nail biters. But yet, at the end of the day, you still have a story to tell. And based on that story that you have to tell, we have developed filters over time. How filters work is normally accustomed to our exposure and our experiences in life. And let's be clear, no two people on this planet have the same experiences and don't have the same exposure. However, there are some commonalities within our social society that some people have been to college so they can relate to that level. Some people are very spiritual so they can relate to those levels. So yes, there's a relationship there, but just because you're in the church or you're in the school or you're in a gang or whatever the case may be, you're listening to this radio show, doesn't mean that because we speak the same language, we should understand each other. And I see a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding causing a lot of social conflict in the way we treat each other. The reason why, I think that a lot of people call other people haters in the negative sense is because they don't understand someone's communication style. This may be the way you walk, talk, dress, act, or whatever the case may be, and they don't understand that. So here's how this works. Me myself, I don't know if that's a double negative, but I am on a constant upgrade in my own life. So anybody that knew me later than yesterday, I've probably changed since yesterday. Why? Because I feel that it's my civic duty and responsibility to grow as much as possible. So now anybody that knew me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, yes, you're going to see some changes. Why? Because 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I didn't understand that communication wasn't just about opening up my mouth and letting words fall out of it. It hasn't been until recently that I am now starting to see that communication really isn't about me. It's about my audience. And if I'm not reaching my audience, then I'm really not communicating. I might as well be talking to myself. And so in this effort for me to mature, I have to be able to put myself out in the forefront and say, look, I don't know everything. I'm not the best communicator, but I'm willing to try. So some of those things that we have to do in order to get past ourselves is we have to look within ourselves. When people say things to us and people erupt, people, snap, nut up, blank out, whatever the case may be, ask yourself, why am I reacting towards what someone just said? And I think that, again, if you feel that someone is trying to hurt you or something like that, then I think that the conversation should be over, because no one should be engaging in a conversation with someone that's trying to hurt you. And it's just that simple. But I think that if we use, ourselves kind of as, as a litmus test, use ourselves as, as the guinea pig, we can't stop somebody from what they're going to say. Unless you kill them, which is, a ridiculous way to stop somebody from talking. But you cannot stop somebody from talking. You can only manage yourself on how you accommodate what was just said. So when I say accommodate, that means how you react or whatever the case may be. People are going to say whatever they want to say, and I think that we should digest that for a minute. Even as I stand here before you, I'm going to say what I want to say. And if you don't agree with me, you are more than welcome to say some of the most incendiary things to me that you want to. But at the end of the day, what you say has nothing to do with how I react. That is a solo mission. And I think as individuals, we need to start embarking on a lot more solo missions for our own happiness, our own peace, our own understanding, and very well our own strength. And so once we start to do that, once we start to take acceptance and accountability for ourselves, then and only then do we get to work with others that are on that same path. Why? Because now you've removed some of those barriers already that we have been putting on ourselves. When we look at that man in the mirror after we've had a big drag out argument, ask yourself, now some of us, you may be incendiary, you may like that negativity, but for those that walk away feeling depleted, walk away feeling, now what just happened? Look in the mirror and ask yourself, now what could I have done differently? Because I can sit here and turn blue in the face and just walk through my neighborhood with people that I barely know and just tell them all the things that I think should be different in their life. But that's just the thing. What do I really know about anyone's life? I only know what you tell me. What you tell me may not necessarily be in your heart. But that's what you want me to know. And so that is why I can't spend too much time worrying about what you're saying, because I don't know where it's coming from. But the longer we spend time communicating with each other, not just talking to each other, but communicating with each other, yes, building those bonds. And that means, yes, we have to kind of let some of our guard down in order to do that. And that's not going to be an easy thing. And as I stand here before you, again, if you knew me yesterday, yeah, I probably erupted yesterday for a misunderstanding. But as I stand here before you today, I've identified that that's not healthy. So as we talk to each other, try and put yourself in that person's understanding. You don't have to put yourself in their shoes, but put yourself into their thinking mechanism. Why? And if you don't understand, if you don't like what someone just said, ask them why they're saying it. And if you don't agree with the intent, now that's a better nucleus to try to scientifically understand, as opposed to what's being said. We stay up here on the superficial level. We'll never get down to the important nutrient level. People are talking. I mean, there's so much talk going on today. How much understanding is there? We need to get understanding of ourselves, and we need to get understanding of our audience. Our social society and our lives depend on it. It's just communication, and we need it more than ever.